This is the best one, and we can do other things, but they're slow by comparison. Like as an example, with the 100%, I was able to do it instantaneously when we were threatened by the rare earths, as you know, the magnets. And I did it instantaneously. It was a matter of seconds. And it was a matter of seconds that I got a phone call, let's work this out. We would have had not nearly the defense that we had. It would be a shame. It would be somewhat catastrophic for our country, I have to be honest with you. I don't want to get too much involved. What we've done, we're taking in hundreds of trillions of dollars. If you take a look at the numbers we're at $17 trillion right now. We're going to be at $21 trillion, about $21 trillion by the time I've finished my first year. Biden, as an example, the Biden administration was at less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're going to be at $21 trillion for 1 year. In the history of the world, there's never been a country that's done that. Not China, not the U.S., not anybody. And a lot of that is because of the tariffs and the fact that the president is a competent president that knows how to use them. And I use them for national defense. The ones that don't want us to win are foreign countries that we are able now to do very well with. Those are the ones that fight it. Those are maybe people that hate our country. I think it's the most important case maybe in the history of our country.
As for Donald Trump, the tariffs are facing a major challenge in the Supreme Court today. In a 3-hour hearing, the Conservative justices on the bench appeared sceptical of the legality of Trump's tariffs. Let's go to our Washington correspondent, Annalise Nielsen, for the latest now. Annalise, hello to you. So could Donald Trump's tariffs be in trouble here?
Well, look, it is looking like a potential issue. This is a case that Donald Trump has been following very closely. We know he loves tariffs. He calls it his favorite word in the English language. But the question is, does the president have the power to exercise tariffs in the way that he is without going through Congress first? So a bit of a refresher on this, when Donald Trump's implemented these tariffs, he's done it under a specific act from the 70s, which is the International Economic Emergency Powers Act. And so that's saying we have such a broad emergency, I need the power to do this without Congress. And it's supposed to be time limited and then revert back to Congress for approval, and it's also supposed to be for emergencies. So Donald Trump has said the emergency is we have trade deficits everywhere and we're being taken advantage of. And to a lesser extent, he's blamed some countries for assisting in the drug trafficking of fentanyl into the US. But the question is, for those states, companies, they've said this should be going through Congress. And so that's essentially what's come to the Supreme Court today. Now, the Supreme Court rules by a majority. They have a very conservative lean at the moment, 6-3. So this is why it was seeming like it would go in Donald Trump's favor. But a lot of the questions from the conservative judges were more skeptical. And so it does indicate they might be looking to rule against this. But the interesting thing is, it is because they say the president has the right to regulate what comes into the country, but that a tariff isn't necessarily a regulation. So quite bizarrely, they're saying that the president would actually have the power to ban things coming into the country, but as for tariffs, that should go through Congress. Now, Congress, of course, wants that power. They've done this with things like the sanctions on Russia that went through Congress. And so they're saying if Donald Trump wants to do this, he should just go back to Congress. He doesn't like that. So this is where they're at. And this is what a lot of the arguments were about today. And they were essentially arguing that tariffs actually aren't to raise revenue either. So here was the Solicitor General representing the Trump administration.
We don't contend that what's being exercised here is the power to tax. It's the power to regulate foreign commerce. These are regulatory tariffs. They are not revenue-raising tariffs. The fact that they'd raise revenue is only incidental. The tariffs would be most effective, so to speak, if no person ever paid them.
So, Pete, one of the examples that one of the Conservative justices brought up was saying, look, a future Democrat president could say, hey, we have a climate emergency and we're going to implement tariffs against all these countries on climate basis. Would the Trump administration support that? And so this is what we're looking at, just with who actually has the right to exercise the power. There are other mechanisms Donald Trump could use, but if he loses this case, it will be a massive blow to his agenda.
Sure would. Annalise Nielsen, thank you.